It's good to be back here. As usual, I'm a little bit nervous, especially when the topic for today, for my speech, is slightly different than what you have on some of your agendas. There was a small mismatch. But don't worry, we'll be talking about Holacracy today. So let's start. Imagine an organization where everyone is free to do what is necessary to move his or her work forward, where there's a lot of autonomy, but also alignment, where there's deeper purpose that's pulling the organization forward. There are no pesky transformation needed for that. You're just in there, in this organization. We talked about a lot about purpose and autonomy, how it motivates us. So close your eyes for a moment. Close your eyes. Imagine yourselves in this kind of organization. Can you see it? Can you feel it? Is it awesome? Now open your eyes. Well, it's not always as we imagine it would be. So there are some monsters looking around, but fortunately, those monsters are usually inside our own minds, and they can be tamed. So Holacracy, this is a quote from a holacracy.org page, but for me, basically, it's a framework for distributing power in the organization, for increasing transparency, for having alignment, but most of all, autonomy, this kind of extreme autonomy, self-organization. It's basically Agile on drugs. It's very different from what I experienced so far in the Agile world. I'm working currently in a company called Tuplux. We are a software house. The company was started by 3 guys 7 years ago, just wanting to work on cool projects the way they wanted. Right now we have 150 people on board, and we're still alive, so we're still making money after having 1 year already in Holacracy practice. We're doing fine, we're growing organically. This is how a Tuplux structure looks like. At least it looked like this on Friday, 18th at 2:59 p.m. This is crucial, this date, because today it might look very different. If we talk about Holacracy, this picture is something that you will see very often. Circles within circles, and the structure is changing all the time. Throughout this last year, we went through numerous structure changes. It's all being adapted to fit the way how we work, to actually map the connections between people doing their work. And we also had numerous experiments in different areas, like distributed staffing for projects, distributed hiring, firing processes, no budgets for self-development. You can spend anything you want on trainings and self-development, and other projects in different areas. Currently, we have also 2/3 of the company within the Holacracy structures. We still have some places where this Holacracy adoption is taking traction there. So we're not done yet, but we are doing fine. So I could talk about how we do stuff in Holacracy in Tuplux for hours, but I have only 10 minutes left. So I decided to pick just one topic that was something that we struggled with, and we still have something to do in this area. Because when we decided to go into Holacracy, we already had a company that worked pretty much in an agile way, democratic way, where we decided on how we do things in workshops between employees, and we also had a lot of value-based company, and so on. And the basic need to go into Holacracy was that we scaled so much that the model for decision making was not really doing its thing. Because even though many decisions were, or many proposals were being done on an employee level, in kind of workshops, the final decision points were made by our founders. And this, after you reach a certain point in a company growth, it doesn't work anymore. So, making decisions, this is one of the monsters that we wanted to tame. And it was not easy, because going teal, it's not a democracy anymore. It's something different. So when we talk about decision-making process, we have usually those three different models of making decisions. First, you have the centralized model, where all the decisions come to one point, and they are then the information is distributed to the rest of the company. Then you have the delegation model, where you have pretty much the same as like a centralized model, but you have those line managers, for example, where you delegate part of your power to those line managers, but in the end, it's always the one person at the top who is responsible for everything at the end of the day. So that's delegation. And in Holacracy, you want to go for the distributed model of decision making, which means that we distribute the decisions to the people that in the company, and we not only distribute accountability for those decisions, but also the authority to make those decisions. You have the power to make those decisions. It's not like you're accountable right now, but you cannot take any decisions. We had a nice talk about this, nice speech yesterday about this. And in Tuplox, we had this kind of messy model when we started. So we had this kind of blob of employees, like informal teams and tribes. And they made some suggestions, maybe some local decisions, but the majority of decisions, like those really important ones, like whether we start a project or close a project, were then delegated to founders. And they had to make some important decisions, but sometimes those decisions involved something like buying a table to a conference room. Or maybe some other small decisions, and it took a really long time to actually get something back. So it didn't work anymore. And Holacracy provides a good way to distribute this power, but we found out it's easy to figure it out, and it looks great on paper, but it's not so easy to implement. As in any other framework you can imagine, it turned out there's a different level for people when it comes to the readiness for making decisions. And for some, it's like, yeah, I can do it all day. Like, for example, for myself, the Holacracy was a fantastic framework. Yeah, finally, I don't have to ask anyone for permission. I just can, start doing my work. I can move forward, make my own decisions. It's great. But for some people, it's like, whoa, no. let's consider it. I mean, there are so many risks involved. I don't know. It's not my company. I don't know whether I can spend money for a new office or so. When we started with Holacracy and people figured out that this framework allows everyone to make decisions that are needed for them to work, they were afraid that most of the people will be in this area. Like there will be crazy people running around spending company money and doing all these crazy decisions. And it turned out quite the opposite. So most of the people were afraid of making decisions, even more than they were before. They were given this power to do what is needed to solve the problems, to make decisions, and they were afraid to use it. I think it's natural somehow. And what we did to help them is to help them answer before they face a decision to answer those two simple questions. First of all, something that you want to do, is it safe? And is it the right thing to do? So you want to know how your decision impacts the company or your surroundings, and then is it actually the right thing to do? Is it aligned with the purpose of your circle or team and the company as a whole? And to help people answer those questions, we had to implement, and we still are, because I don't think we're in this great spot yet with those things. First, is it safe? You need transparency, meaningful data, accessible to everyone, the financial safety of the company, how this kind of spending will impact the company. We have also advisory process, so you can ask any role because it's very well described which role and which person in which role is responsible for what kind of area, and you can ask those people to advise you. But in the end, the decision is on your side. And whether this is the right thing to do, we have OKRs, pretty popular topic right now. We have strategies, we have priorities for every circle. So we're still experimenting, starting with this. So OKRs are, we're just moving in this direction right now, this second iteration with OKRs. But it provides alignment with the rest of the company. So the goals, like for the company, there are then split into smaller goals for the circles. And this helps you to decide whether my action or whether I should go in this way or this way with my decision. Which way supports the strategy for my circle better. So if you want to screw this up and revert to this situation where people are still afraid to make decisions, there's one great thing you can do. You can be the rider on the white horse. So the situations where you see people struggling, they're hesitating. Okay, what should I do? You just swoop in as a hero, as a great guy. Just take this decision on yourself and make it, and then you just, okay, see, I helped you. This is something that just puts the people back in their old ways. Don't do that if you want to have this new habit of taking responsibility for decisions. Key takeaways for me so far, and very shortly. So for me, Holacracy is for anyone, but not for everyone. And not everyone will be willing to work in such a way. Culture changes will need to follow. And they are following in our company. If you want to help out as a trainer, as a coach, increase the capacity for leadership in individuals, in the circles. This helps out to create this capacity for also making decisions. And what I had to relearn after getting the hype of Holacracy at the beginning, framework, processes, I love it. I had to relearn that it's about people in the end. It's always about people. They fill in the framework and they need to also evolve together to actually work in this, this difficult environment. And will we be working in Tuplux in Holacracy in a year or two? I don't know. Maybe. I'm not a part of Holacracy Church, so it's a very useful tool. But I can see that the evolution of the culture cannot be stopped anymore, at least in our company. The process influences how we work, how we talk to each other, how we cooperate, how we take responsibility for solving our problems, how we explicitly state our needs to each other, expectations. So Holacracy is impacting the culture all the way. So thank you. If you want to join in for some discussions, find me. Thank you.